Marcus Chen wiped the grease from his hands with a worn cloth, surveying the mess of twisted metal and sparking circuits that had once been a Corvin cargo hauler. The ship's owner, a six-legged insectoid named Thrix, clicked his mandibles anxiously as he watched the human mechanic work in the cramped repair bay of Nexus Station. "Can you fix it?" Thrix asked, his translator box crackling with static. "The warp core housing is completely shattered. No other mechanic on this station will even look at it." Marcus crouched down and ran his fingers along the fractured containment unit. The metal was bent at impossible angles, stress fractures spiderwebbing across its surface. Any other species would have declared it a total loss. But Marcus had spent 15 years fixing the impossible, earning a reputation as the only human mechanic in this sector of the galaxy. "I can fix it," he said simply. "Give me 3 days." Thrix's compound eyes widened. 3 days? The Zilonian engineer said it would take 3 weeks to fabricate new parts, assuming they could even find the materials. "Zironians overthink everything," Marcus replied, already pulling tools from his kit. "Sometimes the best solution is the simplest one." As Thrix scuttled away, grateful but skeptical, Marcus began the delicate process of heating and reshaping the containment unit. This was what humans did best, taking broken things and making them work again, often in ways their original creators never imagined. The work was slow and methodical. Marcus used a combination of human welding techniques and alien materials, creating hybrid solutions that somehow functioned better than the original designs. Other species approached engineering like a rigid science, following established protocols and procedures. Humans treated it like art, improvising and adapting as needed. As he worked late into the station's artificial night cycle, Marcus heard a soft whimpering sound coming from somewhere deeper in the repair bay. He set down his plasma torch and listened carefully. The sound came again, weak, pained, definitely alive. Following the sound, Marcus made his way through the maze of damaged ships and salvaged parts that filled his workspace. In the darkest corner of the bay, behind a pile of discarded hull plating, he found the source of the noise. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. The creature was roughly the size of a large house cat. But that was where any resemblance to Earth felines ended. Its fur was pure white, almost luminescent in the dim light, and its body was elongated and graceful. 4 legs extended from its torso, but the rear 2 were clearly damaged, twisted at unnatural angles. Most striking of all were its eyes, large, intelligent, and completely colorless, marking it as an albino member of whatever species it belonged to. The creature looked up at Marcus with those pale eyes, and he saw something there that transcended species barriers: pain, fear, but also a spark of desperate hope. "Hey there, little one," Marcus said softly, approaching slowly with his hands visible. "What happened to you?" The creature tried to move away, but could only drag itself with its front legs, leaving its useless hindquarters trailing behind. It was clearly malnourished. Its white fur patchy and dull. Marcus's heart ached as he realized this beautiful being had probably been abandoned here to die. "It's okay," he murmured, settling down cross-legged a few feet away. "I'm not going to hurt you." The creature stopped trying to flee and simply watched him, its breathing labored and shallow. Marcus could see that whatever had injured its legs had happened some time ago. The wounds had healed, but incorrectly. The bones had set wrong, leaving the limbs permanently damaged. "Someone really did a number on you, didn't they?" Marcus said, feeling anger rise in his chest. "Just left you here like garbage." He thought about the various alien species that used Nexus Station. Most viewed disabled individuals as burdens to be discarded. It was one of the things about galactic society that Marcus had never been able to accept. Humans had a different philosophy. Every life had value and worth fighting for. Slowly, carefully, Marcus extended his hand toward the creature. It flinched initially, then seemed to sense his good intentions and allowed him to gently stroke its head. The fur was incredibly soft, like silk between his fingers. "You're beautiful," he whispered. "Even hurt like this, you're absolutely beautiful." The creature's eyes closed briefly at his touch, and Marcus could have sworn he heard it purr, a sound so soft it was barely audible. When it opened its eyes again, there was something different in them. Trust, perhaps, or maybe just the recognition that it had found someone who wouldn't abandon it. Marcus sat back on his heels, his mind already racing. He had no idea what species this creature belonged to, but that didn't matter. What mattered was that it was suffering, and he couldn't just walk away. "What am I going to call you?" he mused aloud. The creature tilted its head at the sound of his voice. "You're white as snow, with those pale eyes. How about Luna? Like the moon?" The creature, Luna, seemed to approve of the name, or at least the gentle tone in which it was spoken. Marcus spent the next hour carefully examining Luna's injuries. The damage was extensive. Both rear legs had been broken in multiple places, and whoever had treated them initially had done a terrible job. The bones had fused incorrectly, leaving the limbs twisted and useless. But Marcus had seen worse. During his time in the human military, before he became a mechanic, he had worked with combat medics who performed miracles on wounded soldiers. He had watched them rebuild shattered bones, restore function to damaged limbs, refuse to give up on cases others had deemed hopeless. "The good news," he told Luna, "is that bones can be broken again and reset properly. The bad news is that it's going to hurt, and it's going to take time." Luna just looked at him with those pale, trusting eyes. Marcus carefully lifted the creature, surprised by how light she was. Definitely female, he realized upon closer examination. Luna tensed initially but didn't try to escape. He carried her to his living quarters, a small space adjoining the repair bay that served as both home and office. The quarters were Spartan but comfortable, filled with technical manuals, spare parts, and a few personal items from Earth. Photographs of family, a small potted plant that somehow thrived under artificial lighting, a worn paperback book of poetry that had belonged to his father. Marcus set Luna down on his bed and began gathering supplies. He had a well-stocked medical kit. Working with dangerous machinery required being prepared for accidents. More importantly, he had access to the station's medical database through his personal terminal. "Let's see what we can learn about your species," he said, running a bioscan of Luna with a handheld scanner. The results appeared on his screen moments later, and Marcus felt his heart sink. Luna was a Feline, a species from the Outer Rim territories. According to the database, Feline were highly intelligent, naturally telepathic, and lived in complex social groups. They were also nearly extinct. Their homeworld had been destroyed in a mining accident 50 years ago, and fewer than 1,000 individuals remained scattered across the galaxy. More troubling was what Marcus read about Feline social structure. Albinism was considered a severe genetic defect among their kind, and albino individuals were typically exiled from their communities at birth. Luna hadn't just been abandoned because of her injuries. She had probably been cast out by her own people long before that. "Oh, sweetheart," Marcus whispered, gently stroking Luna's head. "You've had it rough your whole life, haven't you?" Luna's eyes seemed to confirm his words. There was an ancient sadness there, the weight of a lifetime of rejection and abandonment. Marcus made a decision that would change both their lives forever. "Well, you're not alone anymore," he said firmly. "I don't care what your people think about albinos, or what the rest of the galaxy thinks about keeping useless creatures alive. You're family now, and family doesn't give up on family." The next few days fell into a routine. Marcus would work on Thrix's cargo hauler during the day, making steady progress on the seemingly impossible repair. But every few hours, he would check on Luna, bringing her food and water, monitoring her condition, slowly building her trust. Luna had initially been too weak to eat much, but under Marcus's care, she began to regain some strength. He had to experiment to find foods she could digest. Feline physiology was different enough from human that many standard rations made her sick. Eventually, he discovered that she could tolerate a particular type of protein supplement favored by the insectoid races. As Luna grew stronger, her personality began to emerge. She was curious about everything in Marcus's quarters, nosing around his belongings with obvious intelligence. She seemed particularly fascinated by his books, though whether she could read human script was unclear. Most remarkably, Marcus began to sense something in his mind when Luna was near. Faint impressions of emotion and intent that didn't seem to be his own. He realized she was trying to communicate telepathically, though the connection was weak and unclear. On the third day, as Marcus put the finishing touches on Thrix's repaired cargo hauler, he felt a strange sensation in his head. For a moment, it was as if he was seeing his workspace through different eyes, lower to the ground with colors shifted toward the blue end of the spectrum. Then he heard something that wasn't quite a voice, more like a thought that wasn't his own. Gratitude, safety, pack bond. Marcus spun around to find Luna watching him from the doorway of his quarters. She had somehow dragged herself out of bed and across the floor, though the effort had clearly exhausted her. "Luna," he whispered, was that you in my head?" "Yes, Marcus." Feline speak mind to mind. Luna grateful. Luna bonded to Marcus' pack. The mental communication was halting, like someone speaking a language they hadn't used in years. But it was unmistakably real. Marcus knelt down and gently picked up Luna, cradling her against his chest. Through their newfound mental link, he could feel her contentment, her sense of safety and belonging. But underneath that, he also sensed her deep sadness about her condition, her certainty that she would never be whole again. "Luna wrong," he projected back, hoping she could understand his thoughts as clearly as he could hear hers. "Luna will walk again. Marcus will find a way." Through the mental link, Marcus felt Luna's disbelief and resignation. She had accepted her fate long ago, had given up hope of ever being more than a broken, discarded thing. But Luna didn't understand humans yet. She didn't know about their stubborn refusal to accept the impossible, their tendency to find solutions where none existed. She didn't know that Marcus had already spent his evenings researching Feline anatomy, studying bone structure and neural pathways, formulating a plan that no other species would have even considered. As Marcus carried Luna back to bed and settled her comfortably among the pillows, he projected one more thought through their link. Trust Marcus. Marcus will not abandon Luna. Marcus will fix what others could not. That night, Marcus worked late into the station's artificial dawn cycle, poring over medical texts and engineering manuals. The plan forming in his mind was audacious, perhaps even reckless. It would require him to combine human surgical techniques with alien technology, to improvise solutions on the fly, to risk Luna's life on the chance that he could give her something better than mere survival. Any sensible being would have declared it impossible. But Marcus wasn't sensible. He was human, and humans had a reputation for working miracles. The weeks that followed transformed both Marcus's workshop and his life in ways he never expected. What had started as a simple act of compassion toward an injured creature had evolved into something far more complex and meaningful. Luna's presence brought a new dimension to his solitary existence on Nexus Station, while his determination to help her walk again pushed the boundaries of everything he thought he knew about engineering and medicine. Luna's telepathic abilities grew stronger as her physical health improved under Marcus's care. What began as simple emotional impressions evolved into complex conversations, though they still communicated more through feelings and images than words. Through their mental link, Marcus learned about Luna's past, a childhood of exile and loneliness, years of scraping by in the forgotten corners of various space stations, the accident that had finally crippled her legs when a cargo loader had malfunctioned and crushed her beneath its weight. Luna remembers pain, she projected to him one evening as he worked on design sketches at his desk. Luna remembers waiting for death. Then Marcus Light came. "Marcus Light?" he asked aloud, looking up from his drawings. "Marcus brings warmth, hope, belonging," came the response, accompanied by images from Luna's perspective. Marcus approaching her hiding place that first night, his gentle hands, the moment when she first felt safe in years. No one ever carried broken Luna before. Feline leave broken ones to die. Marcus felt a surge of anger at her people's callousness, but Luna sensed his emotion and sent calming thoughts. Not Luna Pack now. Marcus Pack, better Pack. The mental bond between them had revealed something remarkable about Feline biology that wasn't in any medical database. They were capable of forming pack bonds with other species, creating connections that went beyond mere friendship or companionship. Luna had bonded to Marcus as completely as she would have to a mate or litter mate, and he found himself reciprocating in ways that surprised him. This bond proved crucial to his research. Through Luna's telepathic sharing, Marcus gained insights into Feline anatomy and physiology that no outside observer could have achieved. He learned how their nervous systems functioned, how their bones grew and healed, how their muscles and tendons worked together to create their natural grace and agility. The plan Marcus developed was unlike anything attempted before in galactic medical history. Rather than simply trying to repair Luna's damaged bones through conventional surgery, he intended to completely rebuild her rear legs using a combination of biological and mechanical components. The inspiration had come from his own background in both military medicine and engineering. He had seen human soldiers fitted with cybernetic prosthetics that interfaced directly with their nervous systems, allowing them to control artificial limbs as naturally as their original ones. But no one had ever attempted such a procedure on a non-human species, especially not one as neurologically complex as the Feline. Marcus spent his days taking on increasingly difficult repair jobs, using the extra income to purchase specialized equipment through discrete channels. He couldn't use the station's medical facilities for what he was planning. Too many questions would be asked, too many regulations would stand in his way. Instead, he gradually converted a section of his workshop into a makeshift surgical suite, installing sterile field generators and medical monitoring equipment. Dr. Kess, the station's Zolonian chief medical officer, became suspicious when Marcus started asking detailed questions about bone regeneration therapy and neural interface technology. "Why is a mechanic suddenly interested in advanced medical procedures?" she asked during one of their conversations in the station's main corridor. Her 4 eyes studied Marcus with obvious concern. "Just curious," Marcus replied, trying to keep his voice casual. "I've been reading about cybernetic repairs, wondering if the same principles might apply to mechanical systems." Dr. Kess's head tentacles writhed, a sign of agitation among her species. "Neural interfacing is extremely dangerous even for trained surgeons. The risk of permanent brain damage or death is substantial. Whatever you're thinking of doing, Marcus, I strongly advise against it." But Marcus had already committed himself. Every evening, as Luna rested in his quarters, he practiced the surgical procedures on cadavers he obtained from the station's research division. The work was grueling and often nauseating, but he forced himself to continue. Luna's life, and more importantly her future, depended on his skill. Through their mental link, Luna was aware of his preparations, though she didn't fully understand what he intended to do. "Marcus works very hard," she observed one night, sensing his exhaustion and stress. "Luna not worth so much effort." "You're worth everything," Marcus replied firmly, both aloud and through their bond. "You're brilliant, beautiful, and brave. The galaxy is a darker place when beings like you are discarded." Marcus sees Luna wrong. Luna broken. Luna useless. "Luna's wrong," Marcus countered, projecting images of all the moments when her intelligence and insight had helped him with difficult repairs. Her telepathic abilities allowed her to sense the flow of energy through complex systems in ways that his instruments couldn't detect. "Luna's been helping me fix things for weeks. Luna makes everything better." Despite his confidence in Luna's worth, Marcus was terrified of the upcoming procedure. He had performed surgery before, during his military service, but nothing as complex as what he was planning. The slightest mistake could kill Luna or leave her in even worse condition than before. The breakthrough came unexpectedly, through a conversation with Zara, a human trader who occasionally stopped at Nexus Station. She had heard rumors about Marcus keeping an alien pet and had come to see for herself. "So this is the creature everyone's talking about," Zara said, studying Luna with professional interest. Unlike most humans in this sector, Zara had extensive experience with alien species through her trading business. Luna, who had initially been nervous around the stranger, seemed to sense Zara's genuine curiosity rather than hostility. She allowed the trader to examine her from a distance, even projecting a tentative mental greeting. "Remarkable," Zara murmured. "I've met Feline before, but never an albino. The telepathic abilities are usually stronger in albinos, aren't they? Something about the genetic mutation affecting their neural structure." "You know about Feline?" Marcus asked, surprised. "More than most. I did some archaeological work on their homeworld before it was destroyed. Found some fascinating medical texts in the ruins." Zara's expression grew thoughtful. "You know, there were legends among the Feline about albinos being able to bond with other species' technology. Something about their modified neural structure being more adaptable. This information changed everything about Marcus's approach. If Luna's albinism actually gave her enhanced neural adaptability, then the cybernetic interfaces he was planning might be easier to implement than he had thought. That night, Marcus shared Zara's insights with Luna through their mental link, showing her the new possibilities her condition might offer. "Luna difference, not curse?" came her hesitant response. "Luna difference is gift," Marcus projected back firmly. "Makes Luna special, not broken." The surgical components Marcus finally assembled represented technology from a dozen different species. The bone replacement structures came from Corvan medical technology, known for its durability and biocompatibility. The neural interfaces were adapted from human military cybernetics, modified to work with Feline physiology. The control systems used quantum processors developed by the enigmatic ethereals, whose understanding of consciousness surpassed that of any other known species. Each component had required months of careful adaptation and testing. Marcus built simulators to test the interface compatibility, used tissue samples to verify biocompatibility, and ran countless calculations to ensure the mechanical stresses wouldn't overwhelm Luna's body. The most challenging aspect was the programming. The neural interfaces needed to learn Luna's specific thought patterns and translate them into motor commands for her new legs. This required Marcus to map Luna's neural activity while she attempted to move her damaged limbs, recording the signals her brain was sending and developing algorithms to interpret them. Through their mental bond, Luna experienced much of this process firsthand, gaining an understanding of what Marcus was trying to accomplish. Her natural intelligence and curiosity led her to ask increasingly sophisticated questions about the technology. "How will Luna brain speak to metal legs?" she wondered one evening, watching Marcus calibrate the quantum processors. Marcus paused in his work to formulate a response she would understand. "Luna's thoughts create tiny lightning in brain. Metal legs will listen to lightning, learn Luna's movement songs." "Movement songs? The concept intrigued her. Every being has unique movement songs, Marcus explained, projecting images of neural patterns. The way Luna thinks about walking is different from how Marcus thinks about walking. Metal legs must learn Luna's songs to dance properly. This anthropomorphic explanation seemed to resonate with Luna's telepathic nature. She began actively participating in the neural mapping sessions, concentrating intensely on movement commands while Marcus recorded her brain activity. The day finally came when Marcus could delay no longer. Luna's natural healing had progressed as far as it could without intervention. If he waited much longer, her muscle mass would deteriorate further, making the eventual rehabilitation even more difficult. Marcus spent the morning preparing his makeshift surgical suite, sterilizing every surface and checking his equipment one final time. Luna watched from his bed, her pale eyes reflecting an understanding of what was about to happen. "Luna ready," she projected to him, though he could sense her fear beneath the brave facade. "Are you sure?" Marcus asked, sitting beside her and gently stroking her fur. "Once we start, there's no going back, and there's risk involved, serious risk." Luna trusts Marcus' pack. Luna tired of being broken. The pre-surgical preparation took several hours. Marcus had to anesthetize Luna carefully, using medications adapted for her alien physiology. He monitored her vital signs constantly, terrified that her system might react badly to the drugs. But Luna's constitution proved stronger than expected. As the anesthesia took hold, her last conscious thought was one of complete trust, projected through their bond with such clarity that it brought tears to Marcus's eyes. The surgery itself was the most challenging thing Marcus had ever attempted. Working with hands that shook despite his best efforts to stay calm, he carefully removed the incorrectly healed bone segments from Luna's rear legs. Each cut had to be precise. Too little, and the new components wouldn't fit properly. Too much, and he might sever critical nerve pathways. The bone replacement went smoothly, with the Corvin biosynthetic materials integrating seamlessly with Luna's natural skeleton. The neural interfaces required microscopic precision, each connection mapped and verified before the next step. Hours passed in a blur of intense concentration. Marcus lost track of time, focused entirely on the delicate work before him. Outside his workshop, Nexus Station continued its usual bustle, completely unaware of the miracle being attempted in one corner repair bay. The most critical moment came when Marcus activated the neural interfaces for the first time. If his calculations were wrong, if the adaptation protocols failed, the feedback could cause permanent brain damage. Luna's vital signs spiked as the interfaces came online, her unconscious mind reacting to the sudden presence of alien technology. For a terrifying moment, Marcus thought he had killed her. Then the quantum processors began their learning sequence, analyzing Luna's neural patterns and building translation matrices in real time. The interface indicators shifted from red to amber to green, confirming successful integration. Marcus slumped in his chair, emotionally and physically exhausted. The hardest part was over, but Luna's journey was just beginning. Recovery would take weeks, followed by months of rehabilitation as she learned to control her new legs. But for the first time since he had found her, Marcus allowed himself to hope that Luna might not just survive, but thrive. Luna's awakening from surgery was unlike anything Marcus had ever experienced. Through their mental bond, he felt her consciousness returning in layers, first basic awareness, then confusion, then a sudden spike of wonder as she realized she could feel her rear legs again. Legs singing was her first coherent thought, accompanied by amazement and disbelief. Luna feels legs singing. "Easy," Marcus murmured, keeping his hands gentle but firm as she tried to move. "The surgery worked, but your body needs time to adapt. The neural interfaces have to learn your movement patterns." Luna's pale eyes opened and fixed on his face with an intensity that took his breath away. Through their bond, He felt her gratitude washing over him like a warm tide. So pure and overwhelming that he had to blink back tears. Marcus gave Luna legs singing back, she projected, her mental voice filled with wonder. How is this possible? Because someone needed to try, Marcus replied simply. And sometimes, trying is enough. The first weeks of recovery tested both their patience and resolve. Luna's new legs were marvels of engineering, sleek biosynthetic bones covered with artificial muscle fibers that responded to neural commands, all powered by a miniature reactor that fed off her own bioelectric field. But having the technology and knowing how to use it were entirely different challenges. The learning process was slow and often frustrating. The quantum processors needed time to map Luna's unique neural patterns, while her brain had to adapt to controlling limbs that felt familiar yet strange. Simple movements that had once been instinctive now required conscious thought and effort. Marcus became her constant companion during rehabilitation, encouraging her through every small victory and setback. He rigged up support harnesses that allowed her to practice movement while preventing falls, created exercise routines designed to strengthen her atrophied muscles, and spent hours each day working with her on basic motor control. Luna's legs not obeying properly, she projected in frustration after a particularly difficult session. Luna thinks walk forward, but legs move sideways. The neural mapping is still adapting, Marcus explained patiently. Your brain is learning to speak a new language with your legs. It takes time for the translation to become automatic. Through their mental bond, Marcus could feel Luna's emotions throughout the rehabilitation process. Her determination amazed him. Despite moments of frustration and setbacks, she never gave up. The Feline had evolved as graceful, agile creatures, and Luna's drive to reclaim that heritage was stronger than any obstacle. Other residents of Nexus Station began to take notice as word of Luna's miraculous recovery spread. Dr. Kess was the first to demand an explanation when she encountered Marcus helping Luna practice walking in one of the station's quieter corridors. Impossible, the Zolonian physician muttered, her 4 eyes studying Luna's movements with professional fascination. Complete neural integration with cybernetic limbs. The success rate for such procedures is less than 5%, even under ideal conditions. Luna's special, Marcus replied, steadying Luna as she took careful steps down the corridor. Her neural structure is more adaptable than most. Dr. Kess circled them slowly, her head tentacles writhing with excitement. The implications are staggering. If this technique can be replicated, we could help thousands of disabled individuals across the galaxy. But Marcus shook his head firmly. Each case is unique. What worked for Luna might not work for others. The neural mapping alone took months to perfect. What Marcus didn't mention was his growing suspicion that the procedure's success had as much to do with their mental bond as with the technology itself. Luna's telepathic connection to him seemed to stabilize the neural integration process, allowing the quantum processors to adapt more quickly and accurately than they should have been able to. As Luna's control improved, her personality began to bloom in ways Marcus had never seen before. The defeated, resigned creature he had found in his workshop was disappearing, replaced by someone confident, curious, and increasingly mischievous. Luna wants to explore Station, she projected one morning, her pale eyes bright with anticipation. Luna has been hiding for so long, wants to see everything. Are you sure you're ready for that? Marcus asked. There are a lot of different species on this station, and not all of them will be understanding about your condition. Luna has Marcus pack protection, came the confident reply. And Luna no longer broken. Luna whole again. Their first expedition beyond Marcus's workshop was both exhilarating and nerve-wracking. Luna moved carefully but steadily on her new legs, the synthetic muscles responding smoothly to her mental commands. She drew stares from other station residents, but Marcus was proud to see that most of them were looks of amazement rather than disgust or pity. Thrix, the insectoid whose cargo hauler Marcus had repaired, approached them in the main marketplace. His compound eyes examined Luna with obvious curiosity. "This is the creature you found?" he clicked in his translated voice. "I had heard rumors, but seeing her walk, it's remarkable." Thrix's friend helped Luna by bringing broken ship to Marcus. Luna projected to the insectoid, though he couldn't receive her telepathic communication directly. Marcus relayed her message, which caused Thrix's mandibles to chatter in what Marcus recognized as pleasure. "She remembers me?" Thrix asked, surprised. "But I only saw her briefly when she was still injured." "Luna remembers everyone who showed kindness," Marcus explained. "Her people might have abandoned her, but she doesn't forget when someone treats her with dignity." Word of Luna's recovery spread beyond Nexus Station when a visiting journalist from the Galactic Broadcasting Network witnessed her walking through the commercial district. The story of the human mechanic who had given an alien creature a second chance at life captured imaginations across known space. The attention brought both opportunities and problems. Medical researchers requested detailed information about Marcus's techniques, while officials from various governments wanted to understand the implications of successful cross-species cybernetic integration. But it also attracted unwanted attention from Feline authorities. The delegation arrived without warning. 3 Feline in official robes who demanded to speak with Marcus about his acquisition of their people's property. "The albino belongs to us," their leader stated coldly through his translator. "It was exiled according to our law, but remains Feline property. You had no right to modify it without permission." Marcus felt his anger rising, but Luna placed a calming paw on his arm. "Let Luna speak to them," she projected. "Luna knows their language of law and tradition." What followed was a telepathic conversation that Marcus could only partially sense through his bond with Luna. The 3 officials' expressions shifted from arrogance to confusion to something that might have been shame as Luna communicated with them in ways he couldn't follow. When it was over, the lead official turned to Marcus with obvious reluctance. "The albino, Luna, has renounced her birth pack and claimed membership in your human pack. This is unprecedented but technically legal under our laws." His voice carried clear distaste for the situation. "She is no longer subject to Feline authority." After the delegation left, Marcus asked Luna what she had said to them. "Luna told them truth," came her simple reply. "That Marcus pack showed more honor than Feline pack. That kindness matters more than genetics. That Luna chooses family over species." The incident crystallized something that had been growing in Marcus's mind for months. His relationship with Luna had transcended the simple bonds between human and pet, or even between different species. They had become something new, a family unit that defied every conventional category. This became even clearer when Luna began demonstrating abilities that surprised everyone, including Marcus. Her telepathic sensitivity, enhanced by the neural interfaces, allowed her to diagnose problems with electronic systems in ways that conventional scanning couldn't match. Energy flows feel wrong here. She would project while examining a malfunctioning device, leading Marcus directly to faults that his instruments had missed. Their collaboration transformed Marcus's repair business from successful to legendary. Customers throughout the sector began seeking out the human Feline team specifically, knowing that no problem was too complex for their unique combination of technical skill and telepathic insight. But the most profound moment came 6 months after Luna's surgery, when they encountered another disabled alien in the station's lower levels. This time it was a young Arthaxian whose chitinous exoskeleton had been damaged in an industrial accident, leaving him unable to walk or provide for himself. Luna immediately approached the distressed creature, her mental voice somehow reaching across species barriers to offer comfort and hope. Luna was broken like you, she projected. Marcus Pack fixed Luna. Marcus Pack can fix you too. Luna, Marcus said quietly, understanding immediately what she was asking. It would be incredibly difficult. Arthaxian anatomy is completely different from yours. Marcus fixed impossible before. Luna replied firmly. Luna will help. Together we fix what others abandon. Looking at Luna, confident, graceful, radiating the joy of someone who had been given a second chance at life, Marcus realized that his greatest achievement wasn't the technology he had developed or the surgical techniques he had pioneered. It was the proof that compassion and determination could overcome any obstacle, that every life had value worth fighting for. All right, he said finally, kneeling beside the injured Arthaxian. Let's see what we can do. Through their mental link, Luna projected pure happiness and approval. She had learned more than how to walk again during her recovery. She had learned that healing wasn't just about fixing broken bodies, but about refusing to let broken spirits give up hope. As Marcus began examining their new patient, with Luna providing telepathic translation and emotional support, he reflected on how much his life had changed since that night he had found a dying creature in the corner of his workshop. He had set out to fix broken machines and had ended up fixing something much more important, the galaxy's tendency to discard anyone who didn't fit its narrow definitions of normal or useful. The work would never end. There would always be more outcasts, more disabled beings, more creatures that society had written off as hopeless. But now Marcus wasn't working alone. He had Luna, whose telepathic abilities and fierce compassion made her the perfect partner for this mission. Together, they would continue proving that the greatest engineering achievements weren't about building bigger ships or more powerful weapons. They were about rebuilding hope. One patient at a time, one life at a time. And throughout known space, whenever someone spoke of the impossible becoming possible, they told the story of the human mechanic who had carried a crippled albino alien feline, never imagining it would walk again, and how that single act of kindness had changed the definition of what it meant to be whole. Luna's recovery had become more than a medical miracle. It had become a symbol that no life was worthless, no condition irreparable, no future predetermined. In a galaxy that often valued efficiency over empathy, the partnership between Marcus and Luna proved that sometimes the most profound achievements came not from following established protocols, but from the simple human belief that everyone deserved a chance to dance again. Marcus gave Luna more than legs. Luna projected as they worked together to help their new patient. Marcus gave Luna purpose. Now Luna helps Marcus give purpose to others. No, Marcus replied, gently stroking her luminous white fur as she used her telepathic abilities to calm the frightened Arthaxian. We do this together. That's what family means. And in the growing network of creatures they had helped, in the medical techniques that were slowly revolutionizing treatment of disabilities across the galaxy, in the simple fact that Luna could run and jump and play again, Marcus found proof of something fundamentally human, the belief that broken things could always be made whole if someone cared enough to try.